a couple of notes on Optimus bot that it sounded like were really interesting. So it sounds like we only have that 5-ish to 10-ish bots produced. So basically what we had in the last video. So they haven't produced significantly more bots. And then he had a lot of commentary around the actuators for the bots, which made it sound pretty much like he confirmed that they are not mass producing those actuators yet, which means that each actuator for Optimus is probably being hand built right now. And I would venture a guess that that is the bottleneck on continued, production of bots there in Palo Alto. But that being said, he said, if they're going to mass production of the actuators by the end of this year, that is definitely a good sign. That means that right now they're probably working through a lot of design validation on those actuators and just making sure that they really hit the nail on the head with the way that those are built and the way that they will be able to be manufactured. And so there's, I'm sure, tons of testing that's going on with those bots just now for range of motion, cycle testing, just like we saw the video of the butt tester for the seats. Like they're doing something like that with those actuators, doing hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of cycles on those actuators for Optimus bot so that they make sure that there's not a critical design flaw in those actuators before they send them out to get mass produced. Once they're being mass produced, that means that development of Optimus can kind of ratchet up to the next level. And so, unfortunately for people, I know that Scott will be disappointed, but especially Randy will be disappointed in the number of bots that are going to be deployed this year and next year. But they also did confirm that they are going to first be used in Tesla factories, which, makes a ton of sense. I think there were a lot of people who speculated that that would be the thing that they would make the most sense, as far as it's the best, it's a constrained environment. It's a great place for them to get all the information that they need back from testing. And also financially, a penny saved is a penny earned. So every piece of useful work, and if they can actually do useful work in Tesla factory next year, that is huge. So I think, we got some really great tidbits of information on the development progress of Optimus. A little bit more measured than some of the most optimistic bulls, but in my mind, like, great timeline, it looks like, for the overall production. And I mean, shoot, if we have meaningful volumes of Optimus by 2035, that's still an incredible tailwind to Tesla as a company, their ability to operate and execute, and definitely their ability to create earnings. And I think we're well ahead of that schedule as it appears right now.
I think what's interesting to think about is that a lot of the commentary they had today on the call was, we did hear quite a bit about FSD AI, the bot. It was a significant percentage of the total call minutes, let's say, that were spent talking about something. And in this day and age of all these analysts, and there's an obvious trend towards companies that say AI, let alone do it. If you say it, great, we'll throw money at you. I think it's interesting to track that development, but it almost seems like Tesla, in its current form, based on what could be happening here in the next 12 to 18 months with FSD, seems to be getting some of the lowest premiums from a valuation perspective versus everybody else. Would you guys agree with that? Like, do you guys feel like they're getting way less benefit on that versus everybody else? Was that what you said, Matt, before, or was that about the energy? I forget. I think you may have said something similar, but it may have been in a different arena.
Yeah, I think Hans and I were both kind of talking about that, about how, like, they don't get credit for that. I think
Yeah.
earlier this year that was definitely true. I mean, if you look at what were they trading at, like a 30 PE or something crazy like that. I mean, that's just like clearly not giving any credit for their AI chops. I think with where they are right now, just, what are they, $900 billion market cap, something like that. I think you can make a very strong case that that's a fair price for just the automotive business, and the fact that they're going to be ramping and their margins are so strong. That's kind of the way that I look at it. But I'm more sympathetic at 900 billion than I was at 300 billion. That there's a little bit of upside optionality priced in for the AI business. So I don't think it's anything close to fully priced in. And I actually really disagree with Elon that, like, if you 5x the utility of the vehicles, then your margins go. You don't like the increase in margin is like so crazy, because that's all, like, the 5x increase is all increase in margin. So him saying there's a 5x opportunity overall, I think is just like really kind of lowballing the magnitude of the opportunity even before you get to Optimus. So that's just a little side comment, I guess. But I don't know, Hans, if you have anything else you want to say about whether it's fully priced or not.
I think Yashu, did make good points too about just it's not nearly as clear at this point in time how their work in AI is going to affect margins like this coming quarter. So the flow through to the balance sheet is the missing piece. And so, it's a lot more straightforward with Microsoft, and they're, charging an extra $30 a month on their Office 365 platform. And it's easier for analysts to durka punch that into my spreadsheet, and I can estimate some earnings for next quarter. And now here I can change my outlook. It's not nearly that simple with Elon and Tesla and Twitter. So, or NAI.
Those Wall Street analysts are always saying durka. Like, that's their favorite thing to say. No, I just wanted to bring this up because we had confirmation already from Elon, back in September of last year, almost a year ago now, that, the plan is to assign dangerous, boring, and repetitive motion tasks at Tesla factories to production release candidate bots. So as they become capable of doing useful work, they're just going to go put them on jobs that those bots can do. One of the ones that I think I've seen other people reference is picking up sheet metal and dropping it in front of another robot to stamp, right? You don't want to have to assign that work to a human being and say, hey, your job all day, every day is to pick up sheet metal and let this other robot stamp it. That's not great for any of those things. So, you can definitely give that job to an autonomous robot and not get grieved by your union. I shouldn't have said that.
Was anybody caught off guard by a somewhat lengthy conversation about like amputees and being able to like have a robot like essentially be your?
I was gonna say, I think we know what Elon's favorite movie is. It's clearly iRobot. Between Will Smith's arm, the autonomous cars, the humanoids, he's ripping them off. That's all he's doing.
If Haley Joel Osment is in the commercial that Tesla's going to end up doing, then for sure. I think he was in that movie, right? Or am I hallucinating? All right, let it go.
I was going to say, was anyone else kind of stunned or shocked by the sheer amount of AI FSD questions from the analysts? I think this is the first time they've ever really cared about FSD or asked questions. Like, maybe I'm wrong as recency bias, but I'm pretty sure they've never really asked them questions the way they have this time. So it seems like maybe they're starting to believe.
Yeah, what's funny is I remember in recent history that being the reason there was a sell-off after earnings is because people would say Elon was talking about his science fair projects instead of manufacturing cars. But maybe now that Model Y is the best-selling car in the world, people have more patience hearing about Elon's science fair projects. Maybe after seeing the NVIDIA run-up recently and lots of other AI talk, the market now thinks that's the new hot thing, and they're more.
I just want to shout out Colin Rush for asking about the operating system for Doja. That was a very astute question. Colin is an excellent analyst, far above the standard in his cohort. So not surprised that he would ask a question that intelligent, but I did really appreciate it.
And then I also love the context of the question too. I think it was a different question, but it was along the lines of as your competition is in danger of going out of business, how are you thinking about scaling the? He's like kind of like he's seeing it the way a lot of retail Tesla bulls are seeing the story play out. Like, how are you going to manage geopolitical tensions as you're putting everybody out of business and all this stuff? So that was fascinating. Real quick, I do want to bring this up from Corey. So this is he's highlighting Corey Steuben from Monroe Live. Shout out Corey, big fan of the show. Image from Tesla's IR presentation finally shows a picture with no floor, essentially confirming structural battery pack in the Cybertruck. Also of note, stamped welded lower rear crosscar structure at base of rear seats. And so if I make this bigger, maybe he's talking about this guy right here, which I'm not a vehicle engineer, so I have no idea what that means, but it looks like something of to note. So I'm sure we'll get a video from the folks at Monroe Live here shortly to highlight this in more detail. Just wanted to make sure that was highlighted. Sorry, if anybody had any thoughts, please jump in.
So I could talk a little bit about that. The thing that's interesting there is that that's not a casting. And if I had to speculate on why that's not a casting, it's just because the castings that they already have back there are so fucking huge that they just can't cast anything bigger. And so instead of, having a Terra casting, they have one, potentially even two large castings in the rear. And then, you can see all of that you can see there in the back is a set of stampings that are all joined together. And probably those rear castings are then joined to this structural welded stamped steel assembly. So that actually means that the body shop, for the Cybertruck is going to have, they'll have the Giga casting machine, obviously, but there's going to be a significantly larger area that's dedicated to stampings, and then the assembly of those stampings going through welding cells as well. That there's going to be more of that's allocated to the Cybertruck than we have for the dual casting Model Ys.
Well, appreciate that. Thank you very much, Hans, for that breakdown. All right. What else do we want to highlight? Anything else we want to bring up?
I just thought it was kind of funny.
What's happening there, bro?
Someone was trying to FaceTime me
Earthquake.
right there. So it came across on my computer. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I can't even see you guys anymore. I did think it was funny, just like a random. My computer's falling over too. I'm like holding it up. Things are falling apart. I was thinking it was hilarious when somebody asked him how many robots were made, and he's like 10 million or 10. And I'm just thinking, like, a lot of people actually read the transcripts of these earnings calls, so that's going to be pretty funny